Hi, I'm Joe Welinske. I'm the program manager for ConveyUX Seattle 2019. We're going into our seventh year for Seattle's annual user experience conference that is produced by BlinkUX. That's coming up March 11th, 12th, and 13th in Seattle. And one of the fun things I get to do is talk to our many speakers. And today I am speaking with Phillip Hunter. How are you doing today, Phillip?
I'm good, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, everything's great. I'm in the Blink downtown Seattle office. I'm guessing you're somewhere close.
Yeah, I'm in a WeWork office over on Fourth Avenue in Seattle.
Well, I've had the pleasure of knowing you for quite a while in the Seattle area through our various meetup groups, and it's great to have you as part of the conference program. Why don't you tell people a little bit about your background and the types of things that you're working on today?
Yeah, well, thanks. Over the past few years, Blink and Convey have been a pretty big part of my experience. This is conference number 7. I think this will be the third or fourth time that I've presented, and it might be the 5th time that I've attended. I think I missed a couple of them in there, but definitely been a big thing for a lot of UX folks around Seattle over the past few years. So congratulations on hitting 7. It's a good milestone. So for those of you who haven't met me before, I've worked in UX in several different technologies for about 20 years. The area I got my start in is now the area I'm back in, which is voice recognition technology. And I started in that back in the mid and late 90s, focused around interactive voice response, which is otherwise known as the phone systems from hell and phone trees and things like that, and stuff people, they didn't love to hate it. They hated to hate it, and they just hated it. So it's always been it was an interesting space to get into, but it really, in some ways, helped focus me very well on what UX was really all about, because trying to get people to sort of enjoy the experience that they didn't want to enjoy was an interesting challenge. We had a lot of constraints and a lot of customer constraints, and of course we were dealing with a population that essentially was bringing a problem or experiencing a problem, and then they were dealing with a system they didn't really enjoy. But anyway, that's where I got my start. I started and grew some UX teams in that space where there really hadn't been anything before. But then moved on to, it was at a medium-sized company. I moved on to working with larger companies. So I spent some time at Microsoft and Amazon, working on much bigger products like Bing and AWS products, and then of course Alexa, up until March of this year. And during that time, so I've not only worked on voice and voice applications and voice platform of sorts, but I've also worked on enterprise systems. There's a number of different products that I've worked on at AWS. In addition, I really got more deep into design systems and started or put together their first design system, which was sort of a hodgepodge of various things just to get us going, but then started the effort toward working on a brand new design system that is still being rolled out across AWS, and work that I'm really, really proud of, and the team there did and is doing an amazing job. So now back in the spring of this year, I started to get an itch again to go into the startup world, and that's something I've done several times in my career. And in particular, I'd met and mentored the co-founders of Pulse Labs, where I'm at now, in them getting started in the Alexa Accelerator program last year. A couple of a really, really great team. They've already had some experience under the belt in different areas, big data, machine learning, highly technical data systems and things like that. And so when I saw that they were getting into the area of evaluating user experience for voice applications, that really intrigued me, because evaluation of UX at scale has been sort of a side passion for a while. We do a great job of learning from user research and learning from individual assessments. We don't do a great job for a lot of different reasons that aren't necessarily anyone's fault, but we don't do a great job of evaluating UX at scale. And so that's something we're working on here, starting small, gathering data in bits and pieces, and then looking long-term at where we might be able to make a difference at a very, very large scale.
Well, I know you always have a lot of things going on with your work, and thinking about new ways of thinking about what we do as a profession. And a little bit earlier, we were talking about some of your ideas about the merging between user experience and product management. So maybe talk a little bit about your ideas there.
Sure. Many UX designers are, of course, familiar with working on a team where there are also product managers, or maybe they call them program managers, or several different names that these folks appear under. But what's evolved in a very interesting way over the past few years is the idea of a product team, and so there used to be, if you got into an organization, you used to be either engineering or non-engineering being sales, marketing, admin type stuff. And then engineering started splitting up into, you've got folks who are doing hands-on development, you might have people who are doing architecture of some sort, you might have designers. And then, so in that evolution, at some point, the role of a program manager, product manager, as a distinction from a project manager who is more focused on dates and making things happen. But the product manager started evolving, in some cases from technical roles, in some cases from administrative type roles, or like people management type roles. And where I think we are now is that the idea in companies where there's a little bit more maturity around product management, you have this idea of someone whose job it is to envision an entire product or a significant set of features that represent sort of a sub part of a product, and they're in charge of making decisions that drastically or heavily impact UX. And in some cases, you have product managers who are actually getting into into producing wireframes or at least sketches or other framework or foundational type elements that affect how UX design will happen. And so as I noticed that over the past few years, it became really important to me and some of my colleagues that I would talk to across the industry to to keep pace with that and say we need to be involved in some of those early discussions about where a product, what product opportunities are there, and what might we pursue, and what kinds of things should be thought about early on. And so a lot of this, ties into conversations that everyone might have heard around getting a seat at the table and getting involved early and all of that other stuff. And part of that is moving away from the mindset of UX and design being a service role or a service organization, and more into UX as being part of the catalyst or the core team to make decisions. And so as I got into that, I would search for opportunities to be involved in those discussions and help make those decisions and provide a UX perspective. And then somewhere along the way over the past couple of years, I started thinking, well, why not just move into a product management role and add the skills that I didn't feel like I had from that to my skill set. And that's something that other senior UX folks have done that over the past few years, and it's been interesting to watch them and learn from them as well. And so so when I made the jump to move to Pulse Labs from Amazon, I decided that's where I wanted to go. So I asked for the role of VP of product here, in order to spend more time making those strategic decisions. And of course, I'm also the only person with any design skills here, so I spend a lot of time doing wireframes and other design artifacts like that. But the main part of my role is to say, what are we going to offer? What are the opportunities we have, and what should that look like, and what should we not do? And it's a larger mindset than just design, but it has to be, in my view, it has to be firmly grounded in principles and concepts of design, because I'm making decisions that are going to affect the design. And so for me, this is a really compelling direction. Even if you wanted to stay, like if you're on a UX career track that goes into UX management or director of UX, etc., I still think you have to have this mindset. I think you have to work very closely with peers at your company to have the right discussions. Otherwise, you are at risk of just becoming a service role or service organization, and just basically having to do what the other folks, other parts of the team are telling you to do, and no one really enjoys that I know of. I mean, in some cases, maybe it pays well, and you can just sort of do it and go home at night and not think about it. But for a lot of folks who are really creative and really and who say they're user centric, this matters a lot to have this product mindset, because then you're starting to think about everything from what the opportunities are, and how they might be marketed, and or how something might be built, and how that thing that's built might be marketed, and how it's charged for, and how it gets delivered. And pretty soon your idea of user experience goes well beyond what's going to be on any particular screen, or any set of hardware buttons or anything like that. And now you're really thinking of, how does this fit into someone's life? How does it solve a problem? When do they pick it up? When do they let it go? Why do they care at all about having this as part of their lives? And to me, those are the much more interesting UX conversations, because then you start to draw in this idea of, we're not just trying to make someone have a good experience in a really specific context that we care about. We're trying to make them have a good experience within the context of their lives, which may include ethical considerations, and should even more. And then who we're designing for needs to expand drastically, not just our set of desired product users, but really, what happens when it could be a lot of people that we haven't accounted for before. So anyway, that's a lot of stuff there, but that's what I'm thinking about, and that's what I'm pursuing here at Pulse Labs is really that evolution from UX as an aspect of the product to the product mindset as an aspect of someone's life.
Well, the blurring between what was traditional product management and traditional user experience with respect to design definitely is changing. So it's great to hear your perspectives about that. I'd also like to talk about your workshop that you'll be doing at the conference. So you'll be one of the half-day workshops that's included with everybody's registration. And your particular topic is titled Voice Product Strategy. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what we can expect from that workshop?
Sure. Well, growing out of the discussion, or out of the things that I just said, one of the things that I've thought about is not just the product that we're building here at Pulse Labs, but the products that we are trying to help influence and trying to make better, which are the voice applications and voice services that are out there with Alexa and Google Assistant and Siri and Bixby and all of those. And one of the things that I noticed as I've really gotten into evaluating and trying to influence those is that that there's very few of them have are sort of crafted as a product. Many of them are crafted as little side projects, or they might just be sort of little applications for fun, little widgets of different things. But I think there are a number of voice applications though that are clearly meant to be products, but they're not well crafted as a product. And so one of my passions is around helping companies understand what it means to have a first-class voice application product. So meaning, when I say first class, I mean like the maturity levels of things that we expect in a web-based product or in a mobile-based product, or even a hardware product. You know, there's certain qualities that we expect around fit and finish, and around performance, around capability sets, around a number of features and things like that. And a lot of that is missing from the voice application world right now. And so this workshop is about saying what matters when you're thinking about a voice application product, and how is it different than other products? What sort of strategies can you use to help focus yourself on the things that matter, and make decisions that are wise for your business? In other words, you know, like all software, there's many things we can build. But in the business context, there's really only, you know, it's a much smaller set of things that we would want to try to build to make money off of it. And so, so I want to tie those two things together. Like what does it mean to be a good product, good voice product? And then what are the strategies that we can have to understand that, that moving forward with that product is a good idea?
Well, it's great having the opportunity to talk to you about the things that you're working on. I'm sure I'll see you at a local meetup before the conference. But other than that, we're looking forward to having you join us at ConveyUX in March.
It's going to be great, Joe. Thanks for the invitation, and thanks for the time today.
All right. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.